Welcome back to This Is Not CBC.
Welcome back to This Is Not CBC. Because someone has to say what everyone else is too polite or too paid to admit. You know, it's funny. Every time Pierre Polyev speaks, the headlines scream, he's mean, he's a bully, he's not nice. But maybe that's just because he's saying things Canadians don't want to hear anymore.
And make no mistake, this is not due to the falling revenue from the trade war. It is due to increased government spending. Mr. Carney has added $141 billion of new spending measures. These are decisions by his government to add new costs that were not budgeted before, in exchange for which he promises to find about $50 billion of savings. So even if he keeps his promise to find the savings and to contain the spending at the aforementioned levels, that will mean a net increase in costs of $90 billion, which works out to about $5,400 for every family in Canada. And let's not make any mistake. Canadians will pay for this. The government has no money. It cannot give you anything it does not take away. Every dollar the government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians. The more they spend, the more things cost. They only have three ways of paying for things: with taxes, with debt, and with money printing inflation. Either way, the Canadian people get the bill. And this promise-breaking budget by Mark Carney is the single most expensive for Canadians, who will be paying the price in higher food costs, higher home prices, and other increases in their cost of living.
You know, things called facts. Because in this country, apparently the truth is offensive and lies are considered good manners.
And we're in one now, to be clear. We're in one now. Technological change is accelerating rapidly. The world has become more dangerous and divided, and that decades-long process of an ever closer economic relationship between Canada and the United States is over. And as a consequence of particularly that last point, many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our vulnerabilities. And this is happening fast. This is not a transition, it's a rupture. And it means that our economic strategy needs to change dramatically and rapidly. And that was the context for Tuesday's budget, the first of our government. Now, in the budget, we estimate that U.S. tariffs and the uncertainty that they're creating will cost Canadians about 1.8% of our GDP. Translating that, it's about $50 billion lost from our economy, the equivalent of about $1,300 for every Canadian. And if we don't act now, those losses will only grow. So part of our point is that nostalgia is not a strategy. The U.S. has changed. That's their right. But we must respond. That is our imperative. What the budget does is it builds Canada strong by focusing on what we can control. And that's building at home to protect and empower Canadians. It's boosting our productivity to drive lasting prosperity. It's transforming how government works for you. And it's diversifying our trade partners to create more opportunity and greater independence.
Pierre calls it like it is. He calls out waste. He calls out corruption. He calls out how broken this country has become. And instead of debating the facts, the media debates his tone. Meanwhile, you've got Mark Carney smiling on stage like a bedtime storyteller for the nation, telling you everything is fine. No one's starving. No one's struggling. No one's lining up at food banks. There's no housing crisis. Mass immigration, no issue. And the government spending billions more than it earns? Oh, don't worry. It's not spending, it's investing. Ah, yes. The fairy tale version of Canada, brought to you by the same people who think a balanced budget is just a talking point for the peasants. But Pierre, he's the villain, right? Because he doesn't tuck us in with sweet little lies. He doesn't pat us on the head and say, shh, everything's okay. He says, wake up, Canada. He says, we're broke. He says, this isn't working. And that makes people uncomfortable. But here's the question, Canada. Have we really become so soft that we'd rather be lied to than face reality? Do we really prefer the smile of a banker and a slogan from a politician over the hard truth from someone who refuses to sugarcoat it? Because that's not leadership. That's lullaby politics. And this country doesn't need another bedtime story. It needs a wake up call. This is not CBC. We don't tell you what makes you feel good, we tell you what's real. And if that makes us bullies, then maybe the truth really does hurt. Thanks for watching.